I think it's pretty safe to say that when we examine the Star Wars sequel trilogy, Disney and Lucasfilm went through many problems with the production of these movies and exactly what they were really trying to do, and how fans really disagree with many different choices made, not just with The Last Jedi, but also with The Rise of Skywalker. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about the Star Wars community is that there is no denying it that a lot of fans feel that Kathleen Kennedy needs to be replaced by somebody very soon, and needs to be either fired or retires or just moves away from Lucasfilm to the point where she has no actual planning in the process of the future of Star Wars. Now, everything related to Kathleen Kennedy, like I said, we do know that she had involvement with The Rise of Skywalker after the reshoots. Prior to the reshoots, they had this plan in place to not let Kathleen Kennedy make creative choices, but that actually turned around. Now, with Episode 9, obviously, there's a lot of things in this movie that people love and hate, I myself included. There's a lot of scenes that I rather enjoy, and there's a lot of scenes that I just really dislike about this movie. But overall, I would say that the movie's an entertaining movie at best, and it is better than The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in my book. Now, looking at Episode 9 here and beyond, and specifically at Kathleen Kennedy, Disney and Lucasfilm are going through many different changes as we speak, and what's rather interesting all has to do with Kathleen Kennedy and in the creative choices that will end with the new phase of Star Wars production. Now, it's explained that both Disney and Lucasfilm are going through many changes of how they handle the Star Wars franchise moving forward, after the release of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Now, it said that Lucasfilm and Disney will be bringing more experienced creatives on board to take control of how the stories should be done for the future of the Star Wars franchise and how the new projects should be made. It said that one of the big decisions by CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, is that Kathleen Kennedy will no longer be involved with Lucasfilm on a creative scale, and that she won't be developing projects as far as creative decisions go, and that she will now only be involved with the planning of the upcoming projects in the form of movies and TV series, and that Kathleen Kennedy is done having a say in the matter of how things should be done. However, it's noted that Disney has a plan in place to have Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to have power over certain decisions that will be made for future projects, for the new films and the new TV shows for Disney Plus as well, and that this is their way of making Star Wars more true to the Star Wars community after seeing Jon's success with Star Wars The Mandalorian and how Kathleen Kennedy had no control over creative choices in that series. It said that this is a part of Lucasfilm's big change by Disney in order to take Star Wars in a different direction, and that they are looking to end specific agendas with the Star Wars franchise to please the fans. This is said to just be the beginning of what Disney is planning to do to make things right for the fans and to create great Star Wars material moving forward. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why this is a big deal. Now, obviously, Kathleen Kennedy no longer being involved with the creative choices of the future of Star Wars is fantastic. Now, this applies to the fourth Star Wars trilogy, the 3 new Star Wars films coming out in the future of this decade, and not just that, also with the new live-action TV series to come on Disney Plus. The reason as to why this is a big deal is because you can see that this is Disney's first phase of phasing Kathleen Kennedy out. You know, we do know that her contract is up in 2021. The fact that she is now over with creative choices for Star Wars movies and Star Wars live-action TV series, and will only be involved with the planning and only strictly with the planning. What does that mean? Well, that means exactly when these movies are going to release, you know, who's going to come on board for, you know, developing these movies, and so on and so forth. Even that, though, she said to not have the full choices with. That's all going to have to do with Bob Iger as well, the CEO of Disney. Now, the thing that I like about this is that this is a great example because if you look at The Mandalorian, there's a reason as to why it's so successful. It's not just because Jon Favreau is a visionary and he's an amazing, you know, creative, but it's also because Kathleen Kennedy had no involvement with the creative choices of The Mandalorian. It was all up to Jon and the directors on board and the writers on board for that particular series. So that's the reason as to why it's so successful. You can see now that Kathleen Kennedy, as president of Lucasfilm, was indeed the major problem with The Last Jedi, you know, obvious, I know, and was even a problem with certain elements of The Rise of Skywalker. There's no doubt about that. In fact, you know, when we look at Episode 9 here, the fact that this movie really marked the very end of the Skywalker saga and how it really could have been so much better and how it had so much potential of what they really could have done, I really am wondering exactly, you know, why they are coming to this decision now, this late. They could have done this at the very least, you know, with, you know, before The Last Jedi even released into theaters, but I guess at that point in time, you know, they didn't really care about how The Force Awakens performed because it performed rather well at the box office, and Rogue One: A Star Wars Story was a very good Star Wars film, so that's probably why they moved on with Kathleen Kennedy being a part of the creative choices for the, you know, The Last Jedi moving forward. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.